South Africa's electricity crisis may have given another industry a kickstart. Economist Gaylor Montmasson-Clair says the import of lithium batteries has shot through the roof. What is responsible for the spike? Well, Montmasson-Clair joins us now for that discussion, and he's with the Trade and Industrial Policy Strategies and is questioning why South Africa isn't developing its own manufacturing capabilities. Gaylor, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Let's talk about that spike of lithium batteries and really what's caused it. Why the big demand?
Good morning. Indeed, as you indicated, we've seen the imports and effectively the demand for lithium-ion batteries go through the roof in 2022, but 12 billion rands worth of lithium-ion batteries were imported into the country. That's roughly 3 times what we imported last year, or the year before in 2021, and much more than the years before that. I think it's quite clear that South Africans are now rushing to protect themselves against load shedding by buying lithium-ion batteries, which is now the leading technology in terms of battery at the moment. And that has really led to that spike in demand associated not all the time, but often with, of course, solar panels as well. And that is really what we've seen in the market.
So there is a huge demand, as you've just described to us, and it's an opportunity for South Africa to bolster a new component of the manufacturing industry. How do we take advantage of the demand, which one would assume is going to stick around for as long as Eskom is not able to get its ducks in a row?
Yeah, demand for lithium-ion batteries is actually just at its beginning, if you look at it, because the biggest market for lithium-ion batteries actually is electric vehicle globally, and then the second market is for stationary purposes, for energy storage. So there's a big market coming, and from our perspective, we actually have a lot of capabilities, and so there's two main avenues for us to enter that market. The one is through the minerals. Lithium-ion batteries, of course, have lithium, it's in the name, but they actually have a lot of other minerals. There's only about 10% of lithium. And then you've got a lot of minerals like manganese. And we have a lot of manganese in South Africa, of course. And if we look at Southern Africa, all the minerals that we need, we have them. So one strategy is to go from the mining to mineral beneficiation and do a lot more of the refining of the minerals. That's one end. And then the other end is through the manufacturing, the assembly of the batteries. And here we actually have quite a lot of companies already in the countries that import the core of the battery, which is the battery cell, generally out of China or East Asian countries. And then they put it together based on local inputs, local intellectual property, local knowledge. And that's an industry that's booming as well. So if we tackle it from both sides, and build the value chain from the bottom up and from the top down, then we have really a great opportunity, both for servicing the electric vehicle market that is coming and the stationary storage market.
Yeah, but it's interesting, and I want to just focus a little bit on the electric vehicle market that we should also be taking advantage of, as you say. And many have criticized South Africa, saying that we've been very slow to come to market when it comes to taking advantage of things like lithium batteries and making sure that we create a strong export market. You do say that there are some manufacturers that are already operating in the space, but do you think that we could accelerate those opportunities a little further with assistance, of course, from government and related stakeholders?
No, we could accelerate it much faster. For now, the existing manufacturers of batteries, they're relatively small. They've been operating in niche markets. And of course, as I said, the bulk of the demand going forward is for electric vehicles. So if we want to go big on batteries, we've got to go big on electric vehicles. The two go hand in hand. And on that, it's really critical that we move forward. We have an automotive industry which is really often heralded as the crown jewel of our industrial policy. One of the successes But effectively, if it doesn't transition to electric vehicles within the next 10 to 15 years, it's going to disappear because the world is moving to electric vehicles. About 2/3 of the vehicles produced in South Africa are exported to the EU and the UK, and those markets are shifting very rapidly to EVs. So we have to move. We have to move. And I think that's some of the discussion that, of course, are happening between government and the automotive industry. We say, how do we kickstart that market and link it, of course, to the battery industry?
And of course, the discussion around cost will also be important here because as net importers at the moment, the cost of getting a UPS system or a solar system installed, even an electric car, is actually quite astronomical. But if we are creating a strong manufacturing base within the country, then it becomes a lot more affordable for consumers or households to access what has become a necessity, that being batteries to store alternative power and the like.
Yeah, I think, I think we need to localize for two main reasons. Besides, of course, the economic benefits that we can see through employment and revenues that we will see through the industry. As you said, there's a cost issue. If we localize, we can minimize the cost impact. But also, there's huge demand globally for all the inputs that go into lithium-ion batteries. And going forward, we're going to see increasing competition to access for those minerals and those parts and those components. So if we don't have them locally, it's going to become harder and harder to import. There's going to be delays and more cost. So whatever we can localize, and by localize, I mean South Africa, but more broadly, I think it's the regional approach, through Southern Africa. Then we can shield ourselves as well from those kind of supply and demand dynamics where, there's difficulties in importing some of the products.
Thank you very much for those insights, Gaylor Montmasson-Clair from Trade and Industrial Policy Strategies, talking to us about the opportunities that are found in lithium batteries, currently net importers, but there's an opportunity for South Africa to become a local mass manufacturer and exporter because we do have the minerals, as he so rightly put it there.